Now we can talk about the sound port. The sound port is a hole in the side of the guitar. It is typically in the upper bout on the side that you're going to be playing it. So if we were this way, this is the back's towards me, I would have it kind of right in here. That's where I usually like to place mine. What a sound port is kind of an escape hole. When you've got your main sound hole and all of your air from the top and the back moving together, creating this kind of billow effect, all the sound goes in and out of there. Depending on the frequency, what can happen is that all of the air can't move in and out as it should, and it can get kind of hung up. The sound port can act as a type of vacuum release where you pop this little hole in the side and suddenly the air can move freer through that main sound hole. There are tons and tons of references on the internet about sound ports. People have gone to great lengths to study sound ports, the size, how it relates to the sound hole, how it relates to the guitar body. Should it be a particular shape? Should it be a particular size? Should it be in a particular location? There are innumerable things that you can study about the sound port. Some of that information's good, some of it's bad, some of it is just a little too detailed for what we want. What I find on my own guitars is that the sound port allows me to hear the music a little bit better. I can hear what's coming out of the guitar, and from what I've been told, the sound coming out of the front of the guitar is a bit fuller. It has a more well-rounded sound, or it's just a more robust sound in that more frequencies seem to be heard. I don't know if that's actually true, but from the anecdotal data that I have, it seems to be true. For me personally, I feel like it improves the sound of the guitar. You can go overboard, you can get it too big, and I would imagine the sound would get a little bit wishy-washy and not as full. What seems to be true is that an irregularly shaped sound port works better than a round one. I don't know why that's true, but I've done circles, I've done ovals, I've done triangles, I've done some that look like a tri-tip steak. I've done some that are in a particular shape that was meaningful to my client. And the irregular ones do seem to create a little bit more full of a sound. So take that for what it's worth, design your own sound port, and experiment a little bit, or don't do it at all. On mine, I like to put mine just forward of the upper bout, down along where it starts getting flat, so right in here. And if you look inside, it's kind of where I have my brace. So it's going to go just above this brace in this area. You can go straight away to cutting that sound port in the guitar. I like to place some veneers or some layers underneath it on the inside to make it a little bit more decorative when you cut through it and you're seeing some layers. I'll use, depending on the color of the guitar, on this one, on the rosewood, it's going to be a darker, richer brown. So I'll go for a contrasting color first, which is going to be this white fiber paper, fish paper, the same one we used for the back of the guitar. Or I'll use a light colored veneer like maple or mahogany or super light koa or something like that. And then finally I'll top it with a black, or if I had something that matched the grain of the guitar sides, I'll use that as well just so that when you're looking through the sound hole, it doesn't stand out and it's not really obvious that it's a layered veneer, and it just doesn't draw attention to it. The real attention getter is going to be the shape of the sound port and how it looks and how it sounds. And the first thing we want to make sure is that we have this on the correct side. We do not want to put it on the side that's going to be facing away from us as we're playing. Unless you're making a left-handed guitar, it's going to go on this side. So I'll mark that just with a little chalk, designate right there. Then the next thing to do is to cut the veneers, lay them out, and get them cut to the right size. So I'll just come in and press this into place. Figure out about how far back I want to go. That's just about far enough. That's just fine. And then I'll mark on the kerfing here. Mark an approximate kerfing location there. Alright, so that is going to get me close. I'm going to cut this out with a razor or scissors, lay it back down, and see where we need to cut from there to get it exact. Okay, I've marked those and cut those. It looks like I have just a little bit more trimming to do. Alright, that's a perfect fit. Now I am going to take this and use this as a template for my black piece, and then we are going to glue these up. That's exactly what I want to see. I want to see a nice tight fit here from kerfing to kerfing. Looks good. What I'm going to use to clamp this is just this. This is a stretcher from a guitar mold, one of the ones that I have made. And I mean, this is super easy to cut if you want to just make your own. Take a block of wood, just keep working on the contour, take it to a bandsaw until you get something that fits. You just want something that is going to fit tightly into the middle of this. This paper is tight enough that it's going to, once you press the middle, the ends are going to come down just fine. But just to make sure, I also take a piece of foam and put it in there to help press those edges down just a little bit. So that's going to go in there like that. And then a clamp is going to go over the top of it. And then another clamp on this side, and then we will be good to go. If you clamp it down to your bench like this, make sure that you've got something underneath this waist to prevent this waist from collapsing when we're clamping it here, so that this doesn't collapse and flatten out and crack in the waist. Like most glue ups, you just want enough glue to cover. You don't want to be having huge squeeze out issues. I'll put just a little bit on this one, just enough to kind of get it coated and a little bit tacky, but it doesn't need as much as the other one. And you can probably get away with none at all. Now we'll let that sit for 30 minutes, come back to it and take it off and start drawing our sound port on the outside. I took this apart after about 10 minutes and saw that we are having a little squeeze out go down into these lower kerfs, so I just wanted to clean those out. Okay, now I'll get it clamped back up and let it sit. All right, it's been almost an hour. I'm going to take this off. Really didn't have much squeeze out here or here. The veneer didn't creep out, over the bindings anywhere. We've got a nice tight curvature here. It looks like it followed it really well. So we are good to go. Figure out exactly where our brace is and make a drop dead line where we cannot go any further forward than that, otherwise we'll hit that brace. One of the easiest ways to get this pattern onto the guitar is just to glue a piece of paper onto the side itself. I like to use this. It's a spray adhesive. Make sure I'm not going to hit my side strut. Keep it back from my line that I drew where that strut is. Make sure about the same distance on both sides. Oh yeah, perfect. Center. Yep. All right, that's where I want to be. Mash that down, make sure that stays onto there. And then I will use this piece of paper to directly take my Dremel and route these out. So this is always an exciting part. Cutting a hole freehand into this guitar that we've just worked so hard to get as perfect as we can. I'm using a 16th inch spiral cut bit on this Dremel, and I'll usually come down and I'll plunge and I'll try to work my way out to the lines. Depending on how tight the tolerances are, sometimes I'll go to the line, sometimes I won't. It's really just freehanding it and making sure that the space that you leave in between here is still going to be sufficient. We don't want to have this so small that we start having warpage and cracks, and so that's one of the big reasons why I do laminations under this on the inside of the guitar, so that I can keep some of this reinforcement and we keep a little more structure there than if we were just drilling into the sides. And I can see by looking down through here and looking at the other side, my bit is down a little too far. You can hear it chattering quite a bit. The less of that shaft that we have sticking out, the better. So I'm going to retract that a little bit. All right. Now I actually just changed my bit out. I switched to a downcut bit. As you can see, I was using an upcut bit before, and it's pulling all the fibers up and kind of making a mess of my drawing. I'm going to use a downcut to try and keep some of that going downward. Then it doesn't affect it, and I can read those lines a little better. And then all the fiber tear out's going to happen on the inside, where it doesn't matter as much. And what I'm doing is just, easing up to my lines, because once these very small bits get into the wood, they'll tend to grab, and they'll grab and kind of kick you out. And so you do have to keep your hands on the bass, try and use the guitar and the bass and hold everything at once to try and stabilize itself, because they do grab. And if you mess up on one side, you'll have to mess up on the other side and correct yourself, unless you're doing something, some other funky shape. But this one happens to be symmetrical, so I do need to be very careful. And you can see the difference between the downcut bit and the upcut bit. These are much cleaner. They're pushing everything down inside versus this one, which was tearing up towards me. Once I'm finished with the Dremel on these, I'll go back and I'll fine tune these with some files and very small rasps and even some sandpaper, like floss paper, and tighten these up and get these closer to where I want them to be and try to finalize them. Now these are pretty much, I wouldn't call it roughed out, but they're just about done. I don't need to fine tune them with my files and sandpaper. Now here are most of the tools that I use for this. You can see half round files, flat files, square files, some abrasive tape, sanding twigs, all these things to get into very small, very fine detailed spots in this sound port. And I'll just kind of get some of these loose things off so I can get a better idea of, did I get it roughed out where I want it to? Is there anything else that I need to correct with the Dremel before I take this off? So I'm going to take this paper off, get a better idea of how it looks without the outlines on there, and keep fine-tuning it with the files and sandpaper. All right, looks very different without the paper on it. You can totally see how rough it is. So we'll just get in there and start grinding on it and get this to look a little more even. When I get to this point on the sound port, I'll usually just put the guitar straight on the top or the back so I can work on it easier, get a little easier access to this. And then also I'll take something like this shop light and backlight it so I can see exactly how rough these edges are and how much work I've got to do. Backlighting it like this really helps give this more of a raking light, and I can see all the defects that I have to fix. Makes it much easier now than getting it completely built and then realizing that I've got a lot more work to do. I think I'm at a point where I'm happy with this the way it is. I think it looks pretty good. It's fairly even. There's a few things that I'll probably touch up when we get to final sanding, but for right now, this is good, and now we can move on to the back.